Have you ever lain awake in the middle of the night, unable to fall asleep? Your mind racing with endless thoughts, your heart pounding, terrified that everything around you might collapse at any moment. You tell yourself it's just worry, but deep down you know you're holding on too tightly to the things you love. And here's the paradox. The tighter you cling, the more restless you become. The more afraid you are of losing, the more suffering you create. But what if I told you that the key to peace isn't about controlling life, it's about loosening your grip? Anxiety doesn't really come from what happens outside. It comes from our desperate attachment to how we want things to be. Think about it, you're not anxious just because someone hasn't texted back. You're anxious because you needed their response. You're not broken because you lost a job. You're broken because your entire identity was tied to that job. In Buddhist teaching, this is called clinging. It's like trying to hold water in your fist. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips away. The real question you should be asking yourself is, what am I holding on to? Is it an outcome? A person, a perfect image of who I think I should be? When you begin to see your worries through this lens, everything shifts. Because worry isn't just fear, it's attachment in disguise. I once met a woman at a retreat. She had lost her home, her marriage, and nearly all her savings. Yet she smiled with a peace I couldn't understand. When I asked why she wasn't bitter or afraid, she told me I realized I never truly owned anything. Not my house, not my partner, not even my youth, so I stopped clinging. That's when I could finally breathe again. Her words struck me deeply. Because the truth is, we were never meant to possess. We were meant to experience, to love, and then to let go. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop trying to control the outcome. You can love someone with all your heart and still give them the freedom to leave. You can chase your dreams with passion and still accept if they transform into something else. That's not weakness, that's strength rooted in wisdom. As the Buddha once said, you only lose what you cling to. The next time anxiety takes hold of you, don't fight it right away. Instead, pause. Inhale deeply. Then ask yourself with kindness, what am I trying so hard to control right now? And as you exhale, release it. Not because you're quitting, but because your spirit was never designed to be locked in a cage. Real peace doesn't appear when life is flawless. It arrives the moment you stop demanding perfection. If these words stir something within you, take this as a sign. Let this very breath mark the beginning of your release. Stop clinging. Stop tightening your grip. Step into the freedom that's already waiting inside you. And if your heart longs to dive deeper into timeless Buddhist wisdom that truly speaks to the soul, stay with us. Your next life-shifting insight could be just one video away. Now here's something we rarely realize: peace is not a prize you earn. It's a practice you choose. How many times have you told yourself, I'll finally feel calm when this project is finished, when I have more money, when they apologize to me? We've all placed peace somewhere out in the future, as if it's a trophy waiting at the end of a marathon. But here's the truth revealed by Buddhist teaching: peace is not what greets you after the storm has passed. Peace is what you carry with you right in the middle of the storm. I once knew a woman named Elena. She worked long, exhausting hours. She cared for her elderly father. She raised 2 children on her own. Her life was anything but easy. Yet every single morning, before the world around her stirred, she would rise before dawn, sit quietly by her window, light a simple candle, and just breathe. She called it watering her inner garden. That wasn't a hobby. It wasn't a luxury she waited for when life calmed down. It was her daily ritual, her act of defiance against chaos. She chose peace while the storm raged, not after it ended. Because here's the secret. Peace isn't passive. It's not the silence left when arguments stop or when the noise fades away. True peace is active, intentional, and cultivated, like tending a garden even as dark clouds gather overhead. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful word for this practice, bhavana, the gentle art of cultivating the mind. It means choosing stillness, not because everything in life is flawless, but because your heart deserves the space to breathe. Too many of us wait until life gets easier before we allow ourselves to exhale. We tell ourselves, I'll relax when the bills are paid, when the kids are quiet, when the pain finally goes away. But what if peace isn't something you wait for? What if peace is something you grow moment by moment, breath by breath, even when the children are crying, even when the debts keep piling up, even when grief wraps around your chest like a cold winter wind, peace is still possible. Because the moment you stop relying on external circumstances to feel whole, you're no longer a prisoner of your situation. You stop outsourcing your peace to forces you can't control. Think of the lotus. It doesn't demand the mud to vanish. It blooms because of the mud. That is the power of peace. It isn't fragile. It doesn't require a perfect environment. It simply asks for your presence, for your willingness to come back to your breath, back to your body, back to this very moment without trying to run from it. So maybe the real question isn't, when will I be at peace, but rather, how can I practice peace right now? Close your eyes for just a second. Notice the silence underneath your thoughts, the soft hum beneath your endless worries. That stillness has always been there. That is your true home. And each time you choose to return to it, nurturing it as faithfully as a gardener tends to the soil, you remind yourself of a powerful truth: peace was never missing. It was only waiting for you to come back. Now let's explore another truth. All fear is temporary. It's constantly shifting, never fixed. Have you noticed how a storm feels endless when you're standing in the middle of the rain? And yet when the clouds finally part, it almost feels as if the downpour never existed at all. That's exactly how fear operates. It creeps in like a thick fog, clouding your vision, distorting your peace, stealing your sense of self. But no matter how overwhelming it feels in the moment, fear is not permanent. It does not define you. I remember meeting a woman during a retreat in Oregon. We'll call her Jenna. Her story changed the way I understood fear forever. Jenna was a mother of two, recently divorced, struggling every day just to hold herself together. At night, she would lie awake staring at the ceiling, her chest tight, heart pounding with questions that cut deep. Am I enough for my kids? Will anyone ever love me again? What if I fail the people who need me most? The fear was loud, so loud it drowned out everything else. But here's what Jenna slowly began to notice: it wasn't constant. Some days the fear softened into silence. Other days it twisted into anger. Sometimes it dissolved into heavy sadness. And with time she discovered something profound: none of it lasted. Every emotion, no matter how fierce, eventually shifted. They came and went like waves crashing against the shore, always pulling back into the sea. This is the wisdom of impermanence. In Buddhism, it's called anicca, the truth that everything changes. Your joy changes. Your fear changes. Even your deepest suffering is not permanent. So why do we suffer so much? Because we mistake the temporary for the eternal. We cling to storms as if they define us. We fear fear itself, forgetting it was never meant to stay. But what if we didn't? What if the next time anxiety rose up, you simply noticed it without judgment? What if instead of fighting it, you whispered gently to yourself, "This too will pass. I don't need to resist it. I don't need to feed it. I just need to let it move through me." Try this the next time fear grips you. Place your hand over your heart. Take a slow, deep breath and say quietly, "This fear is not who I am. It's just a moment like the wind brushing across my skin." Think about it, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every failure you once thought you could never survive. It's now just a memory. You endured, you lived through it, and it didn't last. Neither will this. Impermanence is not your enemy. It is your liberation. It means you are never trapped in a single feeling, never frozen in one chapter of your life. You are always evolving whether you realize it or not. So the next time fear knocks at your door, you don't need to slam it shut. Welcome it. Let it speak its piece, and then watch it leave because it always does. Let this truth take root in your heart. You are not your fear. You are the sky, vast, spacious, unchanging. Fear, it's nothing more than a passing cloud drifting across your horizon. Now that we've uncovered how fear loses its grip when we understand impermanence, let's go deeper. Let's explore a radical shift in perspective. What if your overthinking wasn't the enemy at all, but actually the doorway to awakening? Stay with me. 3. You are not the worry. You are the awareness behind it. She sat by the window, staring at the same sky she had seen countless times before. But today, something felt different. Her chest was heavy, her thoughts restless. What if I fail again? What if they walk away? What if I never break free from this? We've all had moments like that, when anxiety tears through our lives like a violent storm. But here's the truth, we so often forget, you are not the storm. You are the sky, let that sink in. Thoughts, worries, fears, they come and go. They gather like clouds, roar like thunder, and then dissolve. But the sky remains still, silent, untouched. In Buddhism, this awareness, the quiet space behind your thoughts, is not just a metaphor, it's your true nature. You are not your fear of failure. You are not the voice whispering that you're not enough. You are not even the desperate part of you that tries to control everything. You are the one who notices all of it without becoming any of it. Imagine this, you're standing on the side of a busy highway. Cars rush past, some fast, some slow, some blaring their horns. You don't run into traffic to stop them. You simply watch. Now imagine those cars are your thoughts, some anxious, some hopeful, some filled with grief. You don't need to chase them down. You don't need to control them. You just sit. You breathe. You observe. That's the essence of freedom. Because the moment you believe I am anxious, you trap yourself in that story. But when you shift and say instead, here is anxiety, suddenly there's space. Suddenly you are the witness, not the prisoner. And that single shift from being the storm to being the sky is liberation. I once heard a monk say something unforgettable. The sky is never afraid of the storm. It simply lets it pass. And that's what we so often forget. We all carry this inner sky within us. It's always here, always available. But why don't we live from that space more often? Because most of the time we're caught inside the storm instead of rising above it. We over-identify with our stories, our pain, our roles. We think we are the person who was betrayed, the one who failed, the one still waiting to finally be enough. But you are not your wounds, and you are not your mistakes. You are far greater than that. You are awareness itself, spacious, clear, and free. And when you come back to that space, everything shifts. You stop reacting impulsively. You stop spiraling out of control. You stop letting every thought drag you where it wants to go. Instead, you begin to listen, to breathe, to simply observe. And from that stillness, true wisdom begins to rise. So the next time your mind drowns you in worry, pause. Ask yourself quietly, who is it that's noticing this worry? And if you're still, you'll sense it, that silent presence behind all the noise. The part of you that has never been broken, never been anxious, never been afraid. That is who you really are. And here's the beauty: once you begin living from that awareness, peace stops feeling like some distant prize you need to chase. It becomes your natural state. But to stay there, you'll need to let go of another illusion we've all been taught. 4. Anxiety is a symptom of the desire to control. Picture yourself standing at the edge of the ocean trying to stop a wave with your bare hands. You can brace yourself, you can shout at it, you can pretend you're in charge, but the wave doesn't listen. It surges forward anyway. That's exactly what worry feels like. It's our desperate attempt to control a world that was never meant to be frozen in place. Take Sarah, for example. She's a mother of 2 working full-time, balancing deadlines, bills, and everyone's expectations. Every night she lies in bed, mind spinning, replaying old conversations, rewriting mistakes, imagining every possible what if. She believes that if she just thinks long and hard enough, maybe she can prevent things from going wrong. But here's the truth: Sarah was never taught worry isn't love. Worry is control in disguise. We worry because deep down, we believe that if we let go even for a moment, everything will fall apart. We convince ourselves that if we don't keep every plate spinning, the people we love will suffer, and somehow it will all be our fault. But life doesn't work that way. Buddhist wisdom reminds us suffering begins the moment we cling. We cling to outcomes, to identities, to expectations. Worry is the mind's way of resisting reality and demanding, no, it should be different. It should be the way I want. And the irony is this: the harder we try to control, the more powerless we actually feel. Think back to the last time life didn't go the way you wanted. Did worrying fix it? Or did it just shrink your world and exhaust your spirit? Here's the truth: letting go doesn't mean you're giving up. It means you're choosing to trust life more than you trust your fear. It means recognizing that the river of life is already carrying you forward. Not because you fight the current, but because you learn to flow with it. Take Sarah, for example. At her breaking point, burned out. Restless, overwhelmed, she decided to try something radical. One night, instead of planning every detail and replaying every possible mistake, she whispered softly to herself, "Let it be just for tonight." And to her surprise, the world didn't collapse. Nothing fell apart. In fact, for the first time in weeks, she slept. That single night taught her something no one had ever told her. Peace isn't found in control, it's found in surrender. Now, whenever her thoughts start spiraling, Sarah pauses and gently asks, "Am I trying to control the ocean again?" And with one deep breath, she lets go. So let me ask you, what are you clinging to so tightly that it's hurting you? What if instead of trying to hold the water, you allowed yourself to float? You might just discover that the world is softer than you feared and wiser than you ever imagined. And this brings us to the next truth. Because letting go doesn't mean detachment. It doesn't mean loving less. In fact, it means the opposite. It's about learning to love more freely than ever before. 5. Worry is a wake-up call. Have you ever noticed how worry always seems to arrive at the worst possible time? Like an uninvited guest, knocking at your door, just as you're finally trying to rest. But what if worry isn't really the enemy? What if instead, it's a sacred messenger, an inner alarm bell, trying to guide you back home? In Buddhism, there's a beautiful teaching: worry is not something you fight against. It's a signal, a wake-up call, a gentle reminder that your mind has drifted away from the present moment. Every time anxiety stirs in your chest, every time your thoughts spiral into what-ifs and should-haves, it's not evidence that you're broken. It's proof that you're human. It's your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do: keep you safe. The problem? It's using outdated maps. Think about it. When we worry, the mind is trying to protect us. It predicts, it plans, it tries to dodge pain before it arrives. That's not evil, that's survival. But here's the catch: it uses fear as its compass. And fear only knows one move to run. It doesn't know how to heal. So what do? We don't fight the worry. We don't cage it. We don't bury it. Instead, we listen gently, compassionately, like a parent holding a frightened child. Each anxious thought is like a bird trapped in a storm. What it needs isn't a prison. It needs shelter, calm, safety. That shelter is your breath. That home is the present moment. So try this the next time a wave of worry rises. Pause. Don't chase it. Don't push it away. Just breathe. Feel the air filling your lungs. Feel the weight of your body resting on the chair. Notice the ground beneath your feet. Come back not to the past, not to the future, but to this moment, the only one that's real. You don't have to fix the moment. You just have to return to it. Because true peace doesn't arrive when every problem disappears. It arrives the moment you stop fearing the presence of your own mind. And maybe, just maybe, every worry you've ever had wasn't a mistake. It was an invitation. A quiet knock on the door, reminding you to come home to yourself. 6. The more you resist anxiety, the stronger it grows. Have you ever been driving home and suddenly realized you don't remember the last 10 minutes of the trip, and you stopped at red lights, turned at the right streets, maybe even waved at a neighbor? But your mind, it was miles away. Maybe replaying that argument from last week. Maybe rehearsing a conversation that hasn't even happened yet. You were there, but you weren't really there. That's how most of us live, half awake, trapped in a blur, caught in a loop between regret and worry. And here's the paradox no one talks about. The harder we try to control time, the more it slips through our fingers. Because the truth is, the past is already gone. The future hasn't arrived. And the only place where life is ever real, the only place it's ever alive, is right here, now. This isn't just spiritual poetry, it's practical truth. Let me share a story. I once met a woman at a meditation retreat. She was in her early 40s, a successful professional in finance. Sharp, accomplished, always perfectly put together. But her eyes told a different story, eyes that looked weary, like she'd been holding her breath through life. One afternoon, during walking meditation, something unexpected happened. She stopped in her tracks. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, "This is the first time in 20 years I've noticed how the grass feels beneath my feet." It wasn't that she didn't have grass at home. It was that she was never home in the present moment. Her mind was always somewhere else, solving the next problem, chasing the next milestone, running toward the next someday. And maybe you know that feeling too. The past can easily become a prison, locking us into loops of regret, replaying mistakes we can't undo. And the future. It lures us in with promises: if I just finish this project, if they finally love me back, if I reach that next goal, then I'll be happy. But happiness doesn't wait for us in some far-off destination. Happiness lives here in attention, in presence. Right now you are breathing. Right now your heart is beating. The sky still carries its light. And somewhere out there, at this very second, someone is praying for the kind of life you're rushing through. That's the paradox of our modern world. We've built endless ways to connect, yet we've never felt more disconnected from ourselves. We scroll through thousands of lives every day and forget to live our own. The Buddha once said, "Do not dwell in the past. Do not dream of the future. Concentrate the mind on the present moment." Why? Because the present isn't just where life happens. It's where healing begins. Every inhale is a homecoming. Every exhale is a release. And each moment you choose to return fully, gently, completely, you hear your soul whisper, "Welcome home." So ask yourself softly, where are you right now? Not your body, but your mind, your heart. Are you trapped in a memory that no longer serves you? Are you running toward a future that isn't even real yet? Then come back. Come back to the warmth of this breath, to the softness of this second, to this one sacred, unrepeatable moment of being alive. Because life isn't waiting for you someday. Life is here, now. Life is happening right now, in this breath, in this very second. But here's the question we so often forget to ask: if the present moment is so precious, why is it so hard to stay here? In the next part, we'll look at the invisible forces that keep pulling us away, and how Buddhist wisdom teaches us to gently return again and again. 7. Have you ever tried to push anxiety away only to feel it come back even stronger? It's like standing at the ocean's edge trying to stop the waves with your hands. The harder you fight, the harder they crash against you. I once met a woman, we'll call her Elena. Every morning before her feet even touched the floor, her chest felt tight, her heart raced. She wasn't in danger. Nothing had happened. But her mind had turned into a battlefield. She hated the anxiety. She fought it. She drowned it in coffee, scrolled endlessly through her phone, blasted music to cover the noise. But the thoughts always returned, louder, heavier, more relentless. Until one morning, exhausted and out of options, she tried something different. She sat down, closed her eyes, and for the first time, she didn't resist. She didn't try to chase the fear away. She simply noticed it. The tremble in her breath, the pounding in her chest, the spiral of thoughts spinning in her mind. She watched them the way you watch clouds drift across the sky, not enemies to conquer, just visitors passing through. And something remarkable happened. The anxiety softened. It didn't vanish, but it loosened its grip. It stopped being a monster. It became a messenger. That was the day Elena discovered a truth that Buddhism has whispered for centuries: what you resist persists. Anxiety itself isn't the enemy. Our resistance to it is. When we fight fear, we feed it. When we judge our sadness, we give it roots. Mindfulness doesn't mean fixing your emotions. It means sitting beside them the way you would comfort a frightened child. No shaming, no escaping, just presence. It's like standing in the middle of a storm, not pretending it's sunny, not trying to push the rain away, just feeling the drops touch your skin. And in that quiet act of acceptance, something shifts. You're not forcing joy. You're not pretending everything is fine. You're simply here, alive, aware still. That's the essence of mindfulness. It's like sitting by a window during a thunderstorm. The rain pounds, the thunder roars, the chaos rages outside, but inside you remain safe, steady, grounded. Buddhist wisdom teaches that suffering doesn't actually come from pain itself. It comes from the stories we attach to that pain. I shouldn't feel this way. This will never end. Something must be wrong with me. Those stories are like gasoline poured on a flame. They turn discomfort into agony. But when you return to the breath, this inhale, this exhale, you drop the story. You come home. Elena didn't cure her anxiety in one sitting. Healing doesn't arrive as a single dramatic event. It's a practice, a daily one. Some mornings, the tightness in her chest still returned. But instead of reacting, instead of running, she recognized it. She breathed with it. And slowly, her fear transformed. No longer a tyrant, it became a teacher. So let me ask you, what about you? What if just for today, you didn't try to fix your emotions, but simply gave them space to exist? What if your anxiety wasn't a sign of weakness, but a signal, a gentle call to return to yourself? Let this be your reminder. The path is not about escaping the storm. It's about learning how to stand in the rain without losing yourself in it. And this takes us even deeper into one of the hardest truths to accept. Peace begins the moment we loosen our grip on control. Letting go is not about giving up, it's about opening up. 8. Mental suffering. You're not drowning in reality, you're drowning in your mind. I once knew a woman who seemed to have it all. A stable job, a warm home, a partner who truly cared for her. From the outside, her life looked peaceful. But inside, every morning she woke with a heavy knot in her chest. A whisper haunted her. What if I lose it all? What if I make a mistake? What if something terrible is just around the corner? Her life wasn't a storm, but her mind was. A storm of what-ifs and maybes looping endlessly. Have you ever felt that way, like you weren't drowning because of what was actually happening, but because of the stories your mind kept replaying on repeat? That's the subtle, silent nature of mental suffering. Anxiety doesn't always roar. More often it whispers. It weaves stories of fear and regret so convincingly that we forget the most important truth: we're not actually in danger. We're just not present. The mind has a strange habit. It loves to time travel. It drags you into the past where regret waits, or it flings you into the future where anxiety stands like a shadow. And so instead of truly living, we spend our days rehearsing pain that hasn't even happened yet, or reliving pain we can never change. Buddhism reveals something powerful here. Suffering doesn't always come from what is, but from the stories we tell ourselves about it. The job interview hasn't even happened yet. You're already rehearsing failure. The relationship is going well, yet you're already terrified they'll leave. Our unchecked thoughts become like a film we can't stop watching. But unlike a real movie, this one doesn't entertain, it steals your peace. Here's the truth: you're not drowning in life. You're drowning in your mind. Let that settle for a moment. And it gets worse. Every time we think I'll finally be at peace when this is over, we postpone our lives. We keep waiting for a finish line that never arrives. Peace becomes a someday fantasy instead of a right now possibility. But what if peace isn't something you have to earn? What if it's already here, hidden, buried beneath the noise? That's the insight mindfulness offers. Peace doesn't come from escaping the present moment. It comes from entering it fully, honestly, courageously, without needing to fix or control it. You don't need to silence your mind forever. You only need to stop believing every fearful thought it produces. In this very moment, you can take a single deep breath and return to now, because now is the only place life actually happens. And maybe that's what freedom really is. Not changing everything around you, but changing the way you see it. So I'll ask you, are you ready to stop waiting for peace and start living it? If the answer is yes, then the next question becomes unavoidable. Why is it so hard to let go? Why do we cling so tightly to thoughts, to people, to outcomes, even when they're the very things causing us pain? In the next part, we'll explore the hidden reason attachment makes us suffer, and the simple shift that can finally free your heart. 9. Letting go is a life skill. She stared at the unopened text message for the 6th time that day. Not because she didn't want to reply, but because she knew that if she did, she'd fall right back into the same loop, the cycle of hoping, waiting, holding on to something that had long since stopped holding her back. We've all been there, haven't we? Clinging to a relationship, a job, an identity, or even a dream long after life has whispered, "It's time to let go." But here's the truth, letting go is not failure. What if instead it's your greatest act of strength? We tend to think of letting go as surrender, as if it proves we didn't love deeply enough, didn't fight hard enough, didn't try long enough. But that's not true. Letting go is not the end, it's alignment. It's a sacred pause that brings us back into harmony with the rhythm of life. Just look at nature. A tree doesn't cling to its leaves when autumn comes. It doesn't grip tightly, begging them to stay. It lets them fall because something deep within knows that new life is already waiting beneath the soil of surrender. We are no different. We too are part of nature. Yet we resist change as though it were betrayal. We grip tightly to jobs that exhaust us, to relationships that drain us, to expectations that no longer fit the person we are becoming. But awakening doesn't come from winning every battle. Awakening comes from knowing which battles are no longer yours to fight. Take Daniel, for example, a brilliant entrepreneur in his late 30s. He built a company from the ground up, sleepless nights, sacrificed holidays, endless pressure. The business became his entire identity. But inside he felt hollow. His body began to revolt, panic attacks, chronic fatigue, a marriage unraveling, his creativity slipping away. Yet the idea of stepping away, it felt like admitting defeat. Until one day, after an especially empty board meeting, he sat in silence and asked himself the one question we all avoid: if I wasn't afraid to let go, what would I do? That question cracked something open, or maybe it healed something that had been breaking for a long time. He didn't walk away in bitterness. He walked away in clarity. And for the first time in years, Daniel slept peacefully through the night. Letting go was never failure. It was freedom. Buddhism teaches that suffering doesn't come from the events themselves. It comes from our attachment to how we think life should unfold. We crave control. We cling to what's familiar because the unknown feels like falling. But what if falling is exactly what we need? Letting go is not something most of us were ever taught in school. It's a life skill, one we must practice again and again if we want to live in peace. It takes courage to trust that what is meant for you will stay, and what is not meant for you will leave. No chasing, no clinging. Because your worth was never in what you held on to. It's in the space you create by releasing. So maybe the next time life whispers, "Let it go," you won't hear loss. You'll hear a door unlocking. But here's the real question. How do you actually let go when your heart still wants to hold on? That's what we explore next. 10. Let life happen. You wake up one morning, and before your feet even touch the floor, your mind is already racing. What do I need to fix today? Your relationship feels strained. Your job feels uncertain. Your body is tired. Old mistakes echo louder than the present moment. So you start your day with a silent bargain. If I can just fix everything, maybe then I'll finally feel peace. But here's the hard truth. What if peace doesn't come from fixing? What if peace comes from finally stopping? Let me tell you a story. There was a woman named Eliza in her late 30s. By society's standards, she was successful, stable career, 2 kids, a husband who tried, a comfortable home in the suburbs. On the outside, her life looked complete, but on the inside, she was exhausted. She spent her days patching holes, managing emotions, smoothing over arguments, cleaning up the chaos of everyone else. Then one afternoon, while folding laundry and half listening to a podcast, she heard a single sentence that froze her in place. Life doesn't need you to fix it. It just needs you to be fully here. Her breath caught because in that moment, she realized something devastating. She had spent her entire life reacting to people, to stress, to fear of not being enough. She was so busy controlling, planning, fixing, that she had never truly lived the moment she was in. And that's the paradox Buddhism offers us. Reaction is automatic, but presence, that's a choice. We're conditioned to believe that if we don't hold everything together, life will collapse. That if we stop fixing, we're failing. But the truth is the opposite. You don't find peace by controlling life. You find peace by returning to life exactly as it is over and over again. And how do you return? With the breath? Noticing the inhale, noticing the exhale. No judgment, no demand that it change. Just being. The breath becomes a doorway. Each time you walk through it, even for a moment, you shift from the storm in your mind to the stillness of now. And in that stillness, clarity quietly begins to bloom. Eliza started practicing this. Not perfectly, not every time, but honestly. When her kids screamed, she paused. When an email triggered her anxiety, she breathed. When silence felt heavy, she stayed with it. And little by little, she stopped trying to fix every moment and began letting them simply unfold. Nothing dramatic happened. No fireworks. But for the first time in years, she felt alive, present, unburdened. And maybe that's the miracle we've all been missing. Not the life we're constantly imagining, but the life we're already living. So I'll leave you with this question. What if you stopped trying to repair every crack in your life and instead simply sat with it? The chaos, the beauty, the silence, the mess. Because maybe healing doesn't begin in the fixing. Maybe it begins in the seeing, in seeing this one breath, this one moment, this one life already here, already enough. Take a breath and let life